Hello there. So it is 6 o'clock on the day before Mother's Day. Okay, I'm not that worried because it's only Mother's Day in England. It's not Mother's Day anywhere else in the world. Yeah, for 6 weeks. So I have no idea why we do it early. Now I bought half a metre of this very nice fabric to make an infinity scarf. So yes, we all know what one of those is. And I made 2 just so that I could do this all in one go, so that I can just upload it and then it's done. So yes, where was I? If you want to buy a very expensive fabric, then you only need an 1/8 of a metre. Sorry, a 1/4 of a metre. So, you know, that does change the price quite considerably. Now, I've bought 2 metres of lining as well. It's quite a nice soft one. It's not at all nylon-y. So, I have found that the expensive ones, you know, fabrics come in like 44 inches, which is too short to do one of these scarves. So what I've done is I bought 2 metres of the lining, and I'm going to have a little fold over bit. So let's take that off so I don't get too hot, which would just go at the back, but it's a nice enough lining, so it's fine. I'm going to do a French seam because it's quite see-through and it's a present, so I want it to be nice. So I'm going to start with it the right side round. Yes, I know. Luckily I'm not seeing my mum at midnight, so I'm okay. It doesn't matter that it's that far away. It's quite close. So here we go. Literally just sewing the end on. And I'm going to do all the stitching on the right side and then all the stitching on the wrong side. I just find this so much easier to do it that way. Buried my scissors again. But I find the best thing to do is to start with is to stitch the ends together. Because this is, I suppose, probably 12 inches larger, the lining to the very nice fabric. But it's a way of, you can then treat yourself to really nice fabric, can't you? If you don't have to buy too much. Because the other way around would be I had to buy 1.5 metres or 2 yards, and then had to find something else to do with the rest of the fabric. So this is quite simple. It's just running stitch. I'm just letting the machine do the sewing. You know, there's nothing complicated there at all. Take that out and trim the end, and I'm going to guesstimate how much to give myself. So I'm just going to do, I suppose, 4 inches, and then I'm going to run the sewing machine down the long edges. When I get to the end of the long edges, I'm going to leave an opening so that I can fold it back over. I have no idea how you would describe this. It's kind of velvet embossed on a see-through mesh. So there's some sort of gossamer. I should have asked actually. Towards the end. I know it might seem a bit boring. any end. So, and I'll start at the other end. Okay, so I don't think that's interesting enough to warrant keeping the camera on, because literally I'm going to sew down there and then I'm going to turn it inside out and I'm going to sew again. So I'll switch off for now and I'll switch back on when I'm turned round. Okay. Hello there, welcome back. So I have turned it inside out and I've done my ends of the French seam and I've done one long side. So I'm just coming to the side with the opening and I'm just going to completely ignore the opening, okay? It's fine, we can deal with that later. I've left it a bit bigger than I should have, but that's okay as well. So I'm just going to start up. Now the thing to do with French seams is, I haven't actually, but you can trim them once you've sewn one side and that will make them a bit smaller, but it's all a matter of sort of pushing them out with your finger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start sewing and I'm just going to pull it literally flat so that I know that I'm not catching any of the frayed ends from the previous sew and that it's all good. So, and it's not, well, I'm sure some people can carry on sewing and do it one-handed. I can't, so I'm not. There we go. Just a matter of picking it up and squeezing it through. I can actually see the other side because it's sort of, well, a beige on this side, but I can see the bright red through there. I know not to sew over the red. Lovely. So we're just coming up to the end now. I sewed the tag end of the lining on rather than just sew it to the lining, is I wanted to make it as neat as possible, really, because there is a bit that we can put round the back, but it's not that much. So okay, I'm going inside out now. Lovely. And then, okay, you can't see the seam. I don't know if you can see the seam on this one. I don't think you can. But it's one of those things that I would know it was there. So I'm just going to sew over it with the French seam so that I know that it's done. But really, as there's no ends showing, you could quite easily just sew it once, because it's not too difficult to it's not going to fall apart in the wash because there's no ends outside. So what I'm doing now is I am literally, the hole that I left folded over, I've pushed it down with my finger, I've held it taut just so that I've got a nice edge. Put it in the sewing machine and literally I'm going to sew. So this is all seamed, it's all folded in. But there we go. And you see how simple this is, really, you know. It's a lovely gift. It's individual, except for I've made two. But, lovely. I'm just going over the seam there. Bang, 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 bang. And all I need to do now is I need to sew these two together and just trim these ends. Now, you can put a single twist in this. I've seen quite a few of them out there that have got a twist in them to make them, I suppose, more wearable. But I don't think it needs it. I don't think at all it does. So there we go, just joining them up. I'm going to trim that end now so it doesn't jam up the whole sewing machine, because that's happened to me before whilst I've been filming. Needles coming unthreaded as well. Okay, it's going to be a bit noisy because it's quite a fine mesh, this lining. And I'm going over quite a few layers, but that's not a problem, is it? As I've said before, it's only 6 o'clock. I'm not going to upset the neighbours by being noisy. Okay, so I have, well, for me, pretty much an emergency Mother's Day present because it's quite late in the day. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it's been instructive, and I hope to catch you again on the web. Thank you for watching.